Wonderful. So then, yes, I will get started. So in this session, I actually wanted to talk a little bit about your experience working in the fields. You are the authors of your history. And who better to share the history than yourselves because you lived it.
We would spread out. I remember the vastness of the fields.
Till we all finished, we chop them. There's like a hook.
The beet knife.
Yeah, and you grab it and then we just chop them. But we used to do it a nail down there.
When I would get tired, you would sit in the middle of those fields. Todo el tiempo I was either on my knees or bending over, and I would sit in the middle of the fields, and then I'm like, oh my God, it's so hot.
The Museum of Memory Initiative is essentially a public history initiative in which we are trying to expand our work statewide to be able to capture stories from community members where the communities either have been marginalized, their stories have not been heard, or been untold. And so we are trying to expand a little bit more into those unique perspectives, and going to community is the way that we do it.
So back after World War I, when European immigration was cut off, Great Western Sugar Factory turned to recruit the Hispanics. They came from southern Colorado, New Mexico, and Mexico that they recruited to come and work in the sugar beet industry. These folks helped the sugar beet industry flourish. They helped the economy in Fort Collins flourish. So we're part of the very fabric of Fort Collins.
This is my sister and this is my mom and dad. I went to work in the fields for a summer because I wanted money to buy clothes for high school. And after that summer, I told Mom I'd do anything but go back to the field.
Awesome. I'll give that back to you. And then we'll see this one.
We're standing in front of the monument, the Hand That Feeds, and we're in Sugar Beet Park. And back in the day, this was one of the beet fields. Straight to the back was the actual sugar beet factory. Okay, the short hoe is a representation of the power that farmers had because they liked people working with that short hoe, but they didn't understand or they didn't want to acknowledge that it was really affecting people's backs. So they sacrificed a lot of those people that worked in the fields when they're bending over doing the work. You know, we should honor that, you know, and so the reason that I have the short hoe up there is because we want to make sure that people understand the sacrifice that people did working in the sugar beet fields. And then the hand represents our people's struggle. You know, this is what this is all about, is para mi familia, for my family, the struggle.
The end of the field, it was way on the other side, bien long. And then my grandpa's like, if you want, just stop there. You don't have to work no more. I'll do the rest. And I'm like, no, let me take a break. And I would take a break. Pero what I would do, I'd pick the pickles. Y me gustaban mucho. Up to this day, I love them. And I would break them in half. And I would chew on them and eat at the same time. ¿Verdad? And then pick and eat, yeah.
We're telling your stories. I don't want someone else telling your story.
By listening to their stories, by having them be the authors of their own stories, is a way that we're preserving history.
We taught these beets all by hand, but I haven't been able to find out what we got paid for it.
To be a worker, to share, ¿verdad? With everyone in the family. There was 7 of us kids.
I want to make sure, one, we have representation here in Fort Collins. If you look around in Fort Collins, we don't see what looks like us. 2, we're part of the history that was forgotten. We were the forgotten people. And getting these oral histories, this is a way that we preserve our history.